Hello, hello. Just going to wait and see if some people jump on before I get started. Oh, nervous is an understatement. Not done one of these for a very long time. So, I am going to be trying to simplify as best as I possibly can doing character nail art. I think sometimes it's overcomplicated. There are some people out there who can do some crazily amazing work, but is it salon friendly? No. So I'm going to try and simplify it as best as I possibly can, while also keeping it as good as it possibly can, if that's possible. So we're doing these videos as part of the Pro Beauty trade show. We're doing our own online trade event. You can save 20% at the moment at lightelegance.co.uk using ProBeauty20 as the code. And you just pop that in at checkout. So that can save you some pennies. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I gauge a rough idea on aspect ratio. So how to place it on the actual nail. I'll show you, I'm going to flip you around so you don't have to see me anymore. I'll show you what I've come up with as an example, and then I'll show you how I get the aspect ratio as well, and then we'll get to painting. If I can find how to turn it round. It's hiding, there it is. Hey, there we go, right. So I'm just going to aim that down a bit. So, nice, simple Pokemon characters. They don't have to be overcomplicated. I've given 2 examples of the finishes as well. I always prefer a matte finish. It flattens everything out, and characters are drawings. They're usually flat. So I do prefer to do things with a matte top coat, but you can also do them with a shiny top coat and you can still see the details on there as well. I just don't think it's as crisp as when you apply a matte top coat over there. So these are the 2 options. I think I'm going to go for Pikachu today. He's a really good starting point if you're new to character art. So I'm going to bring over my tablet quickly so that you can all see it. So just lift that up. So when it comes to character nails, most images you'll get are not the width of a fingernail. So I like to try and get a rough idea of the width of the fingernail in the image that I've got to use as a reference. So I crop it down. That then gives me the ability to place it on the nail as best as I can to be a comparison, so that I'm not trying to, you don't have to try and fit the whole character on a nail. I think this is where sometimes, I know 100% I have overdone it many a time, where I've tried to put the whole entire character on there and sometimes it can appear a bit squashed. So, you know, the nail is a small space to work on. So if you're just getting started with character nails, I would definitely recommend cropping it down and selecting an area that you were going to be putting onto the nail. So on this one, I went down to about there. And then you can work from there. Makes life an awful lot easier. So I'm going to move that out of the way and I'm going to get on to painting for you. So what I like to do with the base, I might have to adjust that light a little bit. If it's too bright, do let me know. Let me just aim that down a little bit more. There we go. So I have used Tangerine Dream, and the one key thing I recommend when painting characters or any kind of detailed work, matte, flat matte top coat. Hey Lenore! Flat matte top coat is amazing. It completely smooths the surface. It means that using your stripy brush, you're going to be able to get those straight lines, those curved lines. It's not going to get caught on anything. and create a nice little divot anywhere. It's just the best base to use. So our little friend Pikachu here, what I like to do is first off sketch out the entirety of him. So his entire outline, I like to sketch the whole thing out. I'm just getting my stripy brush at the ready. And then we can go from there when it comes to doing any line work. So I'm going for primary yellow detail paint, gel paint on this one. So I like to take a bit and see if I move that up there. There we go. I like to run it right through my brush to make sure my brush has got it through every last bristle. And then what I'm going to do is start off at the highest point. So his ear, I want to be touching up there. And I want that to come down. Sorry, I tend to go quiet when I'm painting lines. So the best thing is to get the outline down first. Once you've got the outline down, then you can start thinking about, is that better, Jojo? And then we want to make sure that we're getting just the rough outline. On there, and then you fill it in, and then once you've done that you can start working on the details. I will put a flat matte coat over the top before I start doing any line work. But the best thing to do is to just constantly refer back to your image. The good thing with anime characters like this is that they are all very flat. There are some shadows, which I'll be able to show you how to do those. Hi Debbie, no, this is the gel paints. This is the primary yellow gel paint. So it is a bit thicker than the buttercreams. It's extremely pigmented, but it is a little bit thicker than the buttercreams. So sometimes you might need to tease it a little bit more. Okay. So then what we need to do is just fill in the outlines that we've done. And have it all one solid colour. And then we can start worrying about the details once we've got the flat mat on. The detail paints are great because of the pigmentation in them. They are fantastic, and also they're a slightly thicker consistency, so there is zero chance of them bleeding. Even if you went on to the inhibition layer, they don't bleed. So if you feel more comfortable working on a more slidey layer like an inhibition layer, you can do that with the gel paints, and they're less likely to bleed. But I like doing it on flat mat because it does just completely, as it says on the tin, flattens the surface. On these bigger areas, you don't need to do it with your stripy brush. You can just get a bigger brush to fill it all in, but mine has just been in a black paint, so I'm going to fill it all in with my stripy brush. Thanks, Mandy. So when you start off, it doesn't look like much. Just looks like yellow blobs on the page. But once we've got this bit down, we'll be able to start adding the detail. But when it comes to doing character art, a really ultra fine striping brush is going to be your best friend. Something with only a few bristles, like this one. Because when it comes to doing the line work, you need to be working really, really thin. The one I'm using at the minute, Jess, is the Stripey, which is from Selena's collection with Light Elegance. So once we've done that, pop it in the lamp, give it a cure, clean your brush off, and then you can get down to the details. One of the great things with anime, especially, is the colour blocking. It makes things so much easier when it comes to painting these. Once you start going on to more characters that are based around people, that can become a little bit more complicated with getting the shade in. Absolutely perfect for French, using the stripy brush. So I'm going to start doing the outline shortly. So what I like to do, I'm using black tie buttercream for this because it is just so smooth. And you need to run it through your brush, and you don't need a lot on there. It's one of the mistakes I used to always make, is I used to overload my brush and then my lines would end up too thick. So you only need it nice. It needs to be an even coating on the brush, but you don't need a lot on there at all. So first things first with this is to just start doing the main outline. Just going to move my palette over. And what you can do is, once you're happy with areas, you can flash cure in between. I like to try and get the main outline done first. Sorry if I'm a bit jittery. I'm so nervous about doing this. Definitely has been a long time since I've been live on any kind of social media platform. Okay. So, does anyone have any questions about painting character art? Does anyone get asked to do characters a lot? Not very often? All the time? And then what we want to do is make sure we pop the eyes in. The eyes is always a good one to get down on the nail as soon as possible to give you that accurate positioning for the rest of the facial features. A large dotting tool is amazing for that. So once you've got that down, pop it in for a little flash cure. For a design like this, if I wasn't talking and obviously explaining everything, I would probably add 15-20 minutes per character. I did a Disney set a little while ago, and I think I did 4 characters and we added on an hour. So you definitely need to charge correctly for it. You need to make sure you're working out how long it's going to take you. If you're not sure how long it's going to take, you need to be making sure that you explain to your client before you book them in that you're happy to do it. It will be price per hour, and then work out your hourly charge and add that onto the service, because you definitely don't want to be undercharging and getting into a position where you're not making the money that you need to be making. I did that recently on a set of press-on nails. Completely did not work out how long it was going to take me and undercharged on it. But we learn from these things. So, with the really tiny lines, again, you need to make sure that you've got really minimal product on your brush, because it's so easy. I've got a hair on there, I can see it. Get off. There we go. Yeah, with the really tiny lines, it's so easy to flood what you're trying to do. Also, don't be afraid to get your clients to turn their hands around. So at the moment, obviously, I'm working on a tip, so I can flip-flop this around as much as I want. But with a client, just don't be afraid to move them around. Ask them, can you turn this way, please? Can you turn that way, please? It will make your life so much easier. And the good thing, if you flash cure in between, the next step, if there's a part that you're not happy with, then you can easily wipe it off without wiping your whole design off. I've always found with character art as well, don't be disheartened by how it looks initially. It can look worse before it looks better. But once you're happy with certain areas, pop it in the lamp, freeze cure it, just for like 10 seconds, so that you know you're not going to smudge it, because there is a lot of moving around, leaning over, contorting your hands, so that you know that if you accidentally knock it, you're not going to be undoing half of your work. So I am happy with that at the moment. Then we're going to move on to the cheeks. The colour that I'm going for on the cheeks is Poison Apple, which is a lovely colour. I don't think the camera picks it up quite true to life. It is an apple red. It's got a slight mutedness to it. It's very creamy. I think the camera's actually picking it up a bit more neon, but it is more of a creamy red. So that's what I'm going to be using for the cheeks. And then the mouth is a mix of colours. So I'm going to be using the new Menna from Mars, which has got a gorgeous shimmer to it. Not yet, you can see that there on the camera. And we're also going to be darkening that with black. So that's another thing. Don't be afraid to mix your colours. You're not always going to have the exact colour that you want. So back onto the dotting tool. So the biggest dotting tool that you have when you're doing these bigger circles is easier than trying to swoop it round with a smaller one. But that's one there. And that's one there. And then I'm going to be getting a slightly different brush. I'm going to be using my swirly brush, which is another one from the Selena collection. It's a thin but short brush, and we'll be going into Men Are From Mars with that one to fill in the mouth area. So what I like to do is take the lightest colour out of that area and paint the whole thing in that first. So I'll fill this all in. And also don't be worried if you go over the black, because once you've put flat matte down over the top, you can re-outline everything. Gel's very forgiving. And the pigmentation in light Elegance gels means that you can go over things if you make a little mistake. So I'm happy with that. Pop that in for a freeze cure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Menna from Mars, and we're just going to mix that in with a bit of black. To create a darker red there. And then do a little swoop. Not sure if it's picking it up on the camera or not. Over there. And then give it another little flash cure. Okay. So next point of call is those lovely little white dots that define the eyes. Like I said, don't be disheartened if at the start it doesn't look like what you expect it to look like. When you are doing character nails, they do not come together until the very end. So you need to go in with your Just White. This is the state of mine at the moment. And you just need to get a slightly smaller dotting tool. So this is the one I used for the actual eye dots and the cheeks. And then a smaller one there. And just touch into your white. And then position those dots up there. As you can see, it's starting to slowly come back together now. And then I'm just going to get my stripy brush to pop on some detail onto that mouth now. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in again for another little flash cure. Actually, I'm going to give that a full 60 seconds and then I'm going to apply the flat mat on top. And then what that will allow me to do, I'll bring this in front so you can see different bits here. So then what I'll be able to do is sharpen up all the edges around here, and then I'll be able to start adding the shadowing as well. So when it comes to the shadowing, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can do what I did with the Men Are From Mars colour and add black to darken it. There's three options. So you can do that. You can just find another colour that is a shade or two darker than the original that you were using, which is what I'm going to do today. This colour is a colour gel and they are no longer in existence, but I love this colour for doing shading on anything yellow. So with the colour gel, it's a much more thin consistency. So you can use that, or you can add black to clear. So adding the black to a clear top coat. So if we do, say, the super shiny, you can pop that down and add a very, very small amount of the black. And when I say small amount, I mean small. It needs to create a transparent black. You don't want it to be black. You want it to create that shadow. So that is probably where we would be happiest with. I'm going to do it like that for you today, rather than going in with the colour gel actually. So again, taking my swirly brush and taking my little nail here, so down here is where there would be shadowing. I think it needs a little bit more black. In there. You don't want it, you still want it to be ultra transparent because you don't want it to cover. You want it to be more of like a veil. And you will see that more once the top coat goes on. So as you can see, you can sort of see at the moment that it's shaded that in, but you won't see it fully until it's been flattened with the flat mat. So if I pop that in to the lamp. And then flat mat is an angel when it comes to any kind of detail work, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is apply the flat mat and then I'm going to finish off any of the line work around the outside of that. Gosh, it's irritating, isn't it, waiting for things to cure in between alive. Does anyone have any questions while that is curing? Anything I may have missed? Explaining? Okay. Right, so that's been cured now, so I can pop on the flat mat over the top. I do love how glitter looks matte as well. It's a bit of a thing of mine. But I will make it shiny once we've finished all the details. So we pop that in again for a full cure. It was actually my daughter that chose for me to do the Pikachu. I asked for her opinion. So once the flat mat is cured, we will then take the inhibition layer off. Make sure that the cleanser has dried, completely dried, before you start painting on the top. Otherwise it can cause bleeding. So if you wipe it and then go straight in before it's had time to evaporate, it will cause bleeding. There we go. So I'm going to take that off while I do this. It's a lot easier. Stay on there. Okay. So now what we need to do is go around those cheeks. It is definitely a case of breaking it down and doing little by little. And just once you're happy, cure it. If you're happy with it, cure it. And if you're unhappy with it, like I am unhappy with that, wipe it off. You can always wipe it off. So if you can see there, it's frayed out a bit. So just wipe that off. So go back into our black. And using the very tip. Go around the edges. So this is all part of the Elegance trade show. They are offering 20% off at the moment with code PROBEAUTY20. So do not miss out on that. And also check out their page, because all of the other lovely ambassadors have carried out some great live videos which have all been saved to the page. And we're just going to sharpen up any lines that we want to be a bit more crisp. There we go. And then we just pop that in the lamp. And then it'll be a case of one more top coat with the flat mat and then she's done. And then what I will do is show you how I would then make the glitter back to being shiny as well. This is, it's painful waiting for the layers to cure. Okay. So then it is just another case of flat mat over the top. Give that a quick cure. And then we'll give it a cleanse. Add the super shiny. I do like them shiny, but I find that for photography purposes, social media, if you try to take a photo of that, the line of light always gets in the way, no matter which way you position it. I suppose like that, maybe not, but the majority of the way that you position it, you're going to have the light reflecting off of it, which will take away from the detail. So using a matte top coat is always the best way to go, I think. Okay, so cleanse off the matte top coat there. Pop that back down. And then we'll get some super shiny onto a palette. Palette is always your best friend. You can mix, you can match. You're not having to double dip into other pots. So, getting your super shiny. And then you can literally fill in where the glitter is. To bring that shine back. There we go. And that is Pikachu 1 and 2. So, I'm just going to pop that into cure. Switch it back around. If I can find it. There we go. Staring at a light there. So yeah, that was my way of painting character art. I tried to make it as simple as possible. Remember, this is part of like Elegance UK trade show online. Code is ProBeauty20 to save yourself 20% off on the entire website, I believe. So don't miss out on anything that you've been sort of hankering after. Now's the opportunity. But yeah, that is Pikachu. All done and dusted. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully see you all again soon.